So I've been having just a few technical issues this week, so hopefully those have all been worked out and everything will go very smoothly on the stream today. If that is not the case and things break down, I will do my best to get it up and running as soon as possible. So this week is about learning, unlearning, and relearning. Every week is about that in yoga. We are going to learn to fly again, explore the bird pose, revolved crow. And I've been introduced to this pose in many different ways to get into this pose. So I'll give you a couple of options for that today. So if it's a pose that you've done before, but this is an introduction to a new way of doing it, consider that it might be harder, it might be easier, it might teach you something new or bring you into a new place in your body. So without further ado, let's get on our mats. Okay, if you have not already, roll out your mat. Find a space to sit down. We're going to start in Virasana today, or hero pose. Bring your knees together, angle your shins apart, point back through the toes. If this creates strain in the ankles, if this is too much of a stretch to start out with, then place a blanket underneath your shins. As you sit back between the heels, you might grab the flesh of the calves and pull it back and out so that there's more room for your thighs to move downward as you find some grounding for the hips. So you might have noticed that I sat on a couple of blankets today. So you can sit on blankets to alleviate pain in the knees. You can sit on blocks, whatever height helps you create a long spine and a supported lower body. So if there is pain in the knees, please consider adjusting your posture. Close your eyes. Bring your hands onto the thighs. And immediately you might notice your attention turns to your breathing. If you, in fact, do notice that it might be a result from creating a habit by creating a position to start class in and then connecting with breath. So maybe that starts to become an impulse. Tune into the breath, take note of its qualities. Is it deep or shallow? What part of the chest or torso region is expanding as you inhale? And what's the effect of the exhale? How is it expressed in the body? And as we observe now and throughout the practice, attempt to collect data without evaluation. So whatever's going on with the breath, can you kind of disconnect from that idea of it being good or bad, right or wrong? Notice and accept what is. And now that we have arrived with our breath, let's start to pay more attention to the physical body in this shape. Become aware of the spaces where your body is touching the surfaces beneath you, whether it be the mat, the floor, or a prop. Visualize extension of your body into those spaces. You might think about roots growing from your body into the earth beneath you. Sending down energy and drawing up energy. So a two-way connection, grounding and rising. So now begin to emphasize this sense of rising by lifting up out of the waistline. You might shrug your shoulders up towards your ears to actively lengthen the left and right side bodies. You might loop the shoulder blades together behind the back to broaden the chest, lengthen the collarbones. Now, with the shoulder blades together behind the heart, you might release the weight of the arms downward, bringing the shoulder blades down the back side of the chest. With this attention to the upper back and chest, you may notice that your head has tilted back. If so, draw the chin down parallel with the earth and ease the sides of the neck subtly back so that the head aligns over the heart. Subtle adjustment in the lower body, create a gentle tone in the upper abdomen by drawing the left and right front lower ribs in towards a central point and then pulling that point subtly towards the spine as you lengthen the low back downward, tailbone towards the earth. Feel the air of the room across your exposed skin. And again, just as we created this energetic connection between the body and the earth, imagine the same energetic connection with the air in the room, the space all around you. So you might picture this imagine this in the skin, the edges of the body intermingling with the air around you. You might visualize this as an aura, an emanation of light around your being. And now return to the breath. If you are not already, begin to breathe in and out through the nostrils. Draw a gentle contraction at the back of the throat to begin Ujjayi Pranayama, the triumphant uprising breath. This action will be accompanied by an aspirant sound at the back of the throat. You might consider using that sound as a tool to draw your senses inward, into this interplay between the physical body, the experience of your physical being, and the outside world. So again, a two-directional exchange of energy with the breath. So we'll briefly do an exercise that emphasizes the movement of breath from the pelvic floor, moving up the middle body to the back of the throat. So we'll start by focusing on the region of the lower abdomen. If you feel comfortable doing so, bring a hand to the low belly. I know I have some discomfort around placing my hand on my belly. So notice if you also have discomfort there. Decide whether today's the day you want to sit with that discomfort, if it exists, or just place the hand back to the thigh. But the hand may be useful because we're going to start actively breathing into the lower abdomen. So as you inhale next, in the Ujjayi Pranayama technique with the contraction at the back of your throat, can you expand the low abdomen? As you exhale, can you draw in and up on the lower abdomen, in and up, even on the pelvic floor? Few rounds of breath focusing on this lower area. Focusing here, moving prana or vital energy through this space. Now we're going to move a second hand or move the first hand up to the upper abdomen below the heart space. So we're going to move the breath first, filling up the lower abdomen, low back, and then moving up to the lower ribs, filling in and around the rib cage, and then capping the breath off at around the region of your heart space. And the exhalation moves again from top to bottom. When you're ready, move a hand up to the chest. You might put fingertips on the collarbones, and we will add this third part to the breath. So inhale first into the lower abdomen, lower back, upper abdomen, lower ribs, middle back, and then eventually into the chest, filling the heart space, expanding the upper back, and then drawing breath all the way up the back of the throat before capping it off, holding for a moment, and taking that journey in reverse. Complete 2 more rounds of this style of breath. Upon completion of those 2 rounds, you might keep your hands where they are or bring your hands to heart center as we commence our Om, our chanting of Om. So we'll chant the mantra Om 3 times. So as we've been talking about in recent weeks, this idea of prolonging the Om into a 3-syllabic tone, or a 3-syllabic word. So A-U-M rather than O-M. A tone that vibrates the inner body, starting with the lower region of the abdomen, moving up the middle body, and culminating in up through the heart space, up through the back of the throat, up through the back of the neck, and at the back of the throat. So, as we make the sound on the exhale, it might be interesting to note that rather than
moving from top to bottom as we have been with our exhalation. We're actually moving again from bottom to top as we do on our inhalations. So I just thought that was an interesting counter to what I would expect observation. Okay, so let's commence our 3 ohms. Exhale to empty the lungs and inhale deeply for Om. Bow your head to your heart, release palms to thighs, then slowly lift your head as you open your eyes. Wonderful. My live viewers are still here. I'm glad you're here. Jeffrey and Scotty, perhaps. Come forward of your knees to come out of this position. If not, you can let me know who you are if you're interested in that. Place your wrists below your shoulders, spread your fingers and your palms into the tabletop shape. And we'll start some movement into cat and cow. Inhale, belly and chest down, tailbone and gaze lift into the cow pose. And exhale, round the spine. Chin to chest, tailbone towards the floor, belly button towards the ceiling. Push the floor away, dome the back body in cat. And continue through these 2 shapes with the pace of your breath. Synchronizing breath and movement, using the movement to expand the range of motion of your spine, to start to spread that vital energy throughout the body, and consider how that breath work that we just completed may be influencing what you're noticing as you move through this sequence today. Okay, from here we're going to come to a neutral spine, placing the right palm below the face and the left hand to the back of the skull. Inhale, open the chest to the left wall, look up, point the elbow and gaze up. And then exhale, curl in, elbow towards the right wrist. Inhale, open the chest towards the left wall, look up. And exhale, curl in 2. 3 more on this first side. Inhale, open left. And exhale, curl in. Inhale, open left. And exhale, curl in. Last one. Inhale, open left. Exhale, curl in. And release the left hand below the face, right hand to the back of the skull. Inhale, open the chest to the right, look up. Exhale, curl the elbow towards the wrist. Inhale, open to the right, look up, head into the hand. Exhale, curl in 2. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in. Last one. Inhale, open right. Exhale, curl in. And then plant the hands below the shoulders once again. Okay, we'll either stay here in tabletop, that is an option for this next exercise, or you might take the legs back into a plank position like the top of a push-up. If you've done so, make sure the shoulders stay over the wrists and try to shift weight out of the wrists, down into the knuckles, down into the fingerprints to alleviate dumping too much weight on the wrists. Okay, if you have chosen the plank position, try to create an alignment of shoulders, hips, and heels. This will be helped by engaging the legs, pulling the kneecaps in and up, drawing the sides of the waist slide up as you lengthen the tailbone back towards the heels. Okay, from here we're going to lift the left leg straight up and back to the height of the hip. So this can be done from tabletop or the plank position. Three-legged table or three-legged plank, knee and toes point straight down, push through the heel, lift through the thigh for 5, 4, 2, and 1, foot down. Right foot lifts, push back through the heel, tone the leg, keep the hips at an even height, generally, for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You might bring the left hand a little bit in front of the face, bring it in a little bit, and then extend the right arm forward. Shoulders at a relatively the same height for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand back down, left arm forward, reach forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand down, knees down. Tailbone tilts towards the ceiling. Reach your chin and chest forward and then begin to come down to knees, chest, chin. Slide forward onto the belly. Extend the legs back one at a time. Feet are hip width distance apart as the toes point straight back. Engage the muscles of the legs. So push the tops of the feet downward and then engage the legs so the kneecaps pull in and up away from the floor. Lengthen back through the tailbone and draw the lower abdomen in and up. So we're creating that for the cobra tail. And now we're going to be the head of the cobra, elbows in, shoulder blades on the back, collarbones broad. Inhale, peel the chin and chest up away from the floor. So we're growing our cobra slowly, starting with the baby. So no weight in the hands for this first one. Use the strength of the upper back muscles to peel the chest away from the floor. Open the collarbones up. And even this pose has a floating or flying sense to it. So you're peeling the front body away from the floor. Think about creating a sense of lightness, of airiness, of flight in the upper body as you keep the lower body grounded. And lower down, right cheek to the floor, arms at your sides, heads of the arm bones forward, shoulder blades broaden apart. Head heavy, neck soft, arms heavy, upper back broad, big toes touch, heels widen apart. And arrive here. So this is a nice moment. You're just lying on your mat, letting the earth support you. Arrive with the breath and arrive in this moment, an opportunity to reflect on what has come to pass. How have the postures you've done thus far reverberated in your body in this moment? Okay, chin on the floor, point the toes back, lift the kneecaps in and up, lengthen the tailbone, plant the wrists by the ribs, elbows towards the ceiling, shoulder blades on the back, peel up into your little baby cobra pose, first utilizing the strength of the upper back, and then begin to press down into the hands, keeping the elbows hugging into the sides of the body, and then push the elbows down towards the floor as the shoulder blades come together behind the heart. Now they push down the back side of the chest as the front side of the chest opens and lifts. Sides of neck back, crown of the head lifts. Become your cobra, floating up out of that basket. I know that's how I picture a cobra, right? How about you? Okay, as your hands push down, then pull them back to expand the chest forward and lift it up. Using the strength of the back body to open up, to float the front body. Slowly lower down, left cheek to the floor, arms at your sides, heads the arm bones forward, big toes touch, heels widen apart, left cheek to the floor, head heavy, neck soft, eyes soft or even closed. Return to the breath. Again, opportunity to be held, to trust the support of the earth, opportunity to notice what you're feeling, what has come to pass. Chin to the floor, tuck your toes under, engage the legs, lift the kneecaps, lengthen back through the tailbone, wrists by the ribs, exhale, push up, once again into a plank position, and then from plank position, shift the hips up and back into our first downward facing dog, and as is customary when we meet our dog for the first time in practice, we often go for a little walk. So if you like, bend one knee, reach the opposite hip, up and out, heel down towards the floor, exploring the back of each leg, maybe even a little more interest in the outer hips as they sway from side to side. And eventually walk your dog to stillness, keeping any amount of bend in the knees, push the hands down and forward, shift the hips up and back, emphasize the lengthening of the spine, the distance between the fingertips pushing down and forward and the hips reaching up and back. Let's do some push-ups. Remember, these can be done on the knees. I emphasize alignment, the alignment between shoulders, hips, and knees. So if the hips are sagging down in the plank position, I suggest doing this on your knees to build strength and alignment. Inhale forward to plank or on the knees. Exhale, lower down with control. Inhale to push back up, and exhale either child's pose or down dog. That's 1, 4 more. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 2. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 3. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 4. Final push-up, first set. Inhale forward, exhale lower, inhale press, exhale back 5. Bring your right foot towards center as you lift your left leg straight up and back. Push the hands down and forward as you shift the hips up and back. Look back at those left toes today. Point them straight down. Push back through the sole of the foot. Lift through the inner thigh. Push and lift, push and lift. Look to the top of your mat and lunge your left foot forward into a long stride, setting up on fingertips or blocks on either side of the front foot. So if you have the blocks, you might use them here as I'm demonstrating. Pulse with the legs. There is a contraction of the legs, a toning of the legs, and an expansion of the legs, a stretching. So establish your lunge, collarbones are broad, chest and gaze are forward, and then we'll flow here. Exhale, shift the hips back. Keep the left foot grounded. You might walk the hands with or without the blocks back as you round the spine and tuck the chin to chest, forehead towards our 2 into a modified pyramid pose. Okay, as I said, we're gonna flow here. Inhale, hips shift forward and down. Exhale, push spine. Okay, move with the breath. Explore your range of motion between these two shapes. Notice what you're feeling, where you're feeling. And eventually come back to the lunge on an inhale. The right hand can stay on a block or come to the floor. As we keep the legs and hips as they are, sweep your left arm up to the sky. Look up. Stack the shoulders, open the chest, keep the legs and hips as they are. If you'd like, start to embrace the sky. Right ribs towards the ceiling, left ribs towards the floor, sides of the neck back, top of the ears back. And then hand down, blocks off to the side, press back, downward facing dog, left foot towards center, right leg lifts straight up and back. Push the hands down and forward, reach the hips up and back, right toes, right knee turned down. Push, kick, lift the right leg. Keep breathing. Look to the top of the mat, lunge your right foot forward. Again, establish your long stride.
The knee can be behind the ankle, but I suggest not letting the knee go beyond the ankle. So 90-degree angle or not. Hands frame the front foot. Open up the chest. Keep that back leg active. Pulse the legs, expand and contract. And then exhale, round the spine. Chin to chest, forehead towards or to the knee. Ground through the right big toe, ball now. Push it down. Draw the kneecap in and out. Pull the right hip crease back, and then flow with breath. And inhale to come forward, roll the shoulders back, look forward, and exhale to push the hips back. Round the upper spine, chin to chest, gaze towards the belly button perhaps. Again, explore the range of motion. Compare and contrast the first and second sides. Can you compare and contrast without evaluation? Without one being right and one being wrong, one being good and one being bad. Notice what is and consider how you will decide to move forward from this moment. Inhale back to the lunge, left hand to the floor or a block at the inside of the right foot. Keep the legs and hips as they are, sweep the right arm up, stack the shoulders, look up, reach up, broaden across the chest. If you're feeling good here and you'd like to give the sky a big hug, then wrap your left ribs towards the ceiling, right ribs towards the floor, tilt the sides of the neck back, touch the ears back, maybe even give it a big smooch and a hug to the beautiful sky. Okay, hand down, blocks out of the way, press back, DFD, downward facing dog. Let's tick off that second set of 5 push-ups, but also live in the moment while we're doing them, right? Inhale, come forward to plank, lower the knees down or don't. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press up. Exhale, hips shift back 1. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 2. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 3. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press. Exhale, back 4. Last one. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Push back up. Exhale, hips go back. Right foot towards center, left leg lifts straight up and back. Look to the top of your mat and lunge your left foot forward between your hands. Set up, same stride as before. Hands to hips, elbows to the ceiling. Draw back through the sides of the waistline. Come on up. Standing lunge, high lunge. Hips and chest squared forward, arms at your sides, palms face forward, shoulders roll back. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. And exhale, open the chest towards the left while arms come down to the height of the shoulders. A little bit of a balancing act here. Hips pointing forward, chest contrapposto, open towards the left wall. Stay here, or left hand to the outside of the right thigh, sweep the right arm up over the ear, lean back, look up. What is your face telling you about how you're feeling at this moment? Can you soften that feeling? Soften the edges of the mouth, relax the jaw for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to center, and then hands frame the front foot. You might bring them onto blocks once again if you have them. And then look back at the right foot, hop it forward, maybe 8 inches, maybe 10 inches. Line up the heels, the left heel, drawing a line to the back, the right heel. Right toes turn to the top right corner of the mat. Square the hips forward by wrapping the right outer hip forward, drawing the left hip crease back. Tone up the left leg, press down through the big toe ballman of the left foot, lift into the left kneecap. Hands to hips, elbows to the ceiling. Draw back through the sides of the waistline, come on up. Again, square the hips and chest forward, hug the shoulder blades together behind the heart, look up, lengthen along the front of the torso. Maybe fall over, maybe get back in it. Exhale, hinge at the hips.
Okay, with your hands on your hips here, you'll see the tendency for the right hip to pull back. Even the hips by wrapping the right outer hip forward and down. Draw the left hip crease back and up. Hands to the blocks. Excuse me. Right hand either to a block at the inside of the foot for least the least challenge, I guess. Right hand to the foot or right hand to a block at the outside of the right foot or even onto the floor. So most challenging, least challenging. Look up. Hand to the block, greatest modification, least support. Not finding the right words to use for these. I'm going to keep my hand on the block today at the inside of the foot. If I start to revolve and feel like I have more space to revolve, maybe I'll move my hand further to the left. Okay, we're going into revolve triangle. Press the left big toe ball man down, pull the left hip crease back, keeping the spine parallel to the floor. Start to revolve the right ribs towards the left wall. Stack the left shoulder on top of the right shoulder. Keep that left leg active, right outer heel pushing downward. Look up. If you can, left arm to the sky. Try to stack the shoulders, stack the arms. So if you're here and you're like, oh, this isn't so hard, then bring the hand to the foot or to the block at the outside of the foot. And we're going to stay here for 10 minutes. Just kidding. But be here now. What is this pose bringing about for you? How can you sit with that without the evaluation? Just the question, just the noticing, just the where am I going? Okay, hands down and press back, downward facing dog. Walk it out for a moment, sway the hips, do a little dance. Okay, left foot towards center, right leg lifts, three-legged dog. Look to the top of your mat, lunge the right foot forward. Again, setting up for the lunge. Hands to the hips, elbows to the ceiling, draw back through the sides of the waistline. Come all the way up, high lunge, standing lunge, back inner thigh lifts, hips and chest squared forward, arms to the sides, palms forward. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, open the chest towards the right wall, arms down to the height of the shoulders. So again, arms down to the height of the shoulders, deepen the lunge, stay here, or wrap the right hand to the outside of the left thigh, sweep the left arm along the left ear, and curl back as you look up. And again, this is where you might notice your face telling you something about how you're experiencing this moment. Tell your face a thing or two about how you would like to feel in this moment. Feel triumphant, feel really cool for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hands down. Back to blocks on either side of the front foot. If you have them, push the right foot down, pull the right hip back, hop the left foot forward. Line the heels, point the left toes to the top left corner of the mat. Right hip back and up. Left hip down and forward. Hands to the hips, elbows to the ceiling, draw back through the sides of the waist to come up. Again, square the hips and chest, tone the legs, lift the kneecaps. Elbows point back, gaze and heart lift, collarbones broad. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Draw the right outer hip back as you extend the chin and chest forward. Bring both hands to the blocks once again. Decide where you want to start with the left hand. Do you want it to the inside of the foot, or do you want it onto the foot, or do you want it to the outside of the foot? With blocks or without. Start to bring the right hand to the hip, and then revolve the left ribs towards the right wall. Left belly, left ribs, left shoulder moves right. Right shoulder stacks on top of left shoulder. You might look up, you might reach up with the right hand. So again, if you feel that you have more space, you might move the left hand. If you do not have enough space to stack the shoulders, you might put more height underneath the block, underneath the hand, moving it further to the left. That left heel lengthens downward. Breathe, breathe through the shape. Encourage that movement of energy throughout the body. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling? Okay, as you're ready, hands back to frame the front foot. Plant the hands, send it back. Downward facing dog again. Shake it, dance it. Do your dog dance. Okay, let's do another little core exercise. Inhale forward to plank or tabletop. Left leg lifts, knee and toes point down. Reach to the heel for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Foot down, right leg lifts. Reach to the heel, tone the legs, shoulders stay at an even height for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Foot down, left hand towards center, right arm reaches. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right hand below the face, left arm reaches. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're probably saying, oh, you went through that too quickly. Okay, here it goes. Left leg back, right arm forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left foot down, right foot lifts, left arm reaches. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gosh, knees down, knees down. That's the part of class when I'm not teaching, I might just skip that part. Toes tuck under, tilt your tailbone towards the ceiling, reach your chin and chest forward. Exhale, lower the chin and chest down to the floor and slide forward onto your belly. As much of a relief it is to be here, perhaps I'm going to ask you to get a prop if you have one. So if you're at home practicing with carpet underneath you, this padding probably isn't necessary. But if your mat is laid out over a hard surface, then it might be helpful for these next set of poses to either double or triple up your mat, or if you have a blanket, to lay it down over the mat. So I'm going to unfold my blanket so that it covers about half of the middle section of my mat. And then I'm going to lay down, belly down onto the mat. Okay, chin on the floor. We're going to practice bow pose, but we're going to emphasize the movement of the body with breath and maybe even some more intentional, less breath connected movement. Okay, so bend your knees, flex your feet, reach back, and if you can, grab both ankles. If you cannot grab both ankles, grab your left ankle, and we'll get we'll get the right ankle next time. Okay, make sure that your knees are about hip width distance apart, ankles as well. Grip the ankles strongly, and then kick your ankles into your hands, lift your thighs away from the floor. So we're not going into the deepest, pushiest expression of this pose that you've ever practiced. Let's start here and then start with a little, what would you call this? You're kind of bobbing your chest or head forward and back to kind of create some movement along the abdomen. Some pressure there. And then push the ankles, lift the thighs, roll the shoulders back, and then see if you can do that same rolling forward and back with breath. So inhale, lift the chest up, exhale, lift the legs up. Exhale, release, right cheek to the floor, arms at your sides, big toes touch, heels wide apart, head heavy, neck soft, arms heavy, upper back broad. Return to the breath. Again, this opportunity to feel supported. Opportunity to release into that support as you arrive in this moment of rest and reflection. Okay, and then it changes. Chin back to the floor, bend the knees, flex the feet. Either grab just the right ankle with the right hand or attempt to grab both ankles. Flex the feet, ankles and knees hip width distance apart, roll the shoulders back, kick the ankles into the hands, lift the thighs. And then again, let's start with some kind of bobbing the head up and down to create that massage of the belly. Maybe the fronts of the pelvis are pushing down. And then we'll start to synchronize that waving with the breath. Inhale, fill the abdomen, rock back, lift the chest, exhale, breath out, thighs up. Okay, release the legs, left cheek to the floor, arms at your sides, head heavy, neck soft, upper back broad, lower back broad, big toes touch, heels wide apart. Back to the breath. Okay, chin back to the floor. Take your knees as wide as your mat. Push your hips back to your heels as you bring your big toes to touch. Look forward and then push your hands down and forward to really round your low spine. Tuck your tailbone towards your heels. Countering the pose that we just did. Countering the bow pose with this movement into a wide-legged child's pose. So start to walk the hands forward, keeping the tailbone low down towards the heels. Reach with the fingers, open the palms, lower the chin and chest downward or to the floor. If your face is uncomfortably squishing into the mat or a blanket, you might turn the right cheek to the floor, release the weight of the head. Breathe into the back body. And just as we created expansion in the front body and felt that expansion in our hands in our first breath exercise, imagine that similar expansion of your back body with breath. If you have your right cheek to the floor, turn the left cheek to the floor. Release the head. Chin back to the floor, push your way up, and remove the blanket. Okay, as promised, we're going to attempt a revolved crow pose. So we're gonna start this from our backs. I'm gonna do a quick alignment or a quick alignment of the pose on the back, emphasizing the use of core in this arm balance. So arms out to a T as you lie on your back. Bring your inner legs together, knees bent. Draw your knees into your chest, tuck your tailbone towards your heels, engaging the abdomen to curl your low back away from the floor. Squeezing the legs together, angle the knees at about a 45-degree angle towards the right. Tuck the tailbone, lift the knees up, look towards the left side of the ceiling. And then lift your hands up, reaching for the left side of the ceiling as you curl your head, neck, and shoulders up away from the floor.
So you're trying to put your handprints up towards the left side of the ceiling. Knees in and up towards the right armpit, less of your back body on the floor. Engage the core, push up, and then slowly lower back down. Arms out to a T. Feet can rest for a moment. And then squeeze them in, draw them up, tuck the tailbone. Keeping the legs together, angle the knees at about 45-degree angles to the left. And then look to the right side of the ceiling. Keep the legs together, and then reach your arms towards the right side of the ceiling, palms open. Peel your head, neck, and shoulders away from the floor as you pull your knees up towards your left armpit. Maybe even the left arm makes contact with the right thigh. Push with the hands. Draw in with the abdomen, with the belly button. Tuck the tailbone. Then slowly lower head, hips, feet to the floor. Take the feet as wide as the mat, arms out to the sides. A little windshield wipering of the legs, side to side. Okay, draw the knees in and rock and roll along your spine. Making the movements bigger each time, more vigorous. And come on up to seated. Okay, I realize we are getting short on time. This will be this is our peak pose. So if you have a block, that will be a very helpful tool for this practice. If you've done crow pose with me before, I'm using it here in a similar manner. So so stand on your block if you have one with your feet together. Inner feet together, inner knees together, and then bend your knees forward. Sink your hips towards your heels, and keeping the knees pointed at straight to the short end of your mat. Start to walk your chest at a 45-degree angle towards the left. Okay, keep the hips low. Place the hands on the floor, shoulder width distance apart. Spread your fingers, root through the knuckles. Try to diminish the bearing of weight in the wrist. Attempt to keep the knees together. Keep the hips low. And then start to lean the upper body forward. Shifting weight forward, eventually lifting weight off of the block. Toes lift. Take flight. Take flight, you beautiful crow. Okay, so for time's sake, we're just going to go through it that one time on each side. So there are other variations of this. I talked about doing this a different way on Monday's class and Tuesday's class. So if you're interested, if you're like, this is just something I need to do, those are available also, so you can check out those for more information. But let's go do the second slide before I'm talking about what we're not doing. What we are doing is crouching the hips to the heels, bending the knees forward. Keep the knees pointing towards the short end of the mat, and then angle the chest, walk the hands over towards the right, about a 45-degree angle. Keep the hips low, knees squeezed together. Belly button draws in and back. Plant the hands, shoulder width distance apart, and try to nuzzle the left leg as high up into the left armpit as possible. Okay, look forward and start to fly. So you're at the edge of the tree, edge of the nest, and you see the ground below, and you're like, I'm not gonna fall. And you start to shift your weight forward, and your wings take flight, and you're flying for 5. Keep flying. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're falling. Just kidding. That was a traumatic embodiment of the crow when we started to fall. Okay. That was lovely. Thanks for sticking with us. Us being me. Turn around. We're going to do a reverse table. Point your fingertips towards your toes. Heels in towards your hips, and then push your feet down, lift your hips up. So you're creating a table, a reverse table. So now a table with the front of your body. Look down the front of your body. Make sure your knees are about hip width distance apart. Ground through the inner edges of the feet as you lift into the pelvis.
And then begin to look up, look back, open up the throat. Ground through the inner edges of the hands. Again, rooting through the knuckles, weight out of the wrists.
And then chin to chest, hips down. Let's take the legs out in front of you at an angle, and then just turn the fingertips towards the pelvis and push the wrists down. So I'm realizing, only today am I realizing how much we're on our wrists today. So let's give a little wrist relief. Turning, pushing the backs of the wrists into the mat gently, maybe swaying side to side. And then flicking the hands. Okay, one more thing. Either reverse table as we've done, or extend the legs straight, squeeze the legs together, point the toes. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest up, push the feet or heels down to lift the hips. Lift the hips. If you're in this straight-legged pose, east facing pose, try to bring the soles of the feet down, lift the hips up, roll the shoulders back, look up, look back. Flash dance. Lengthen through the tailbone, lengthen through the toes. And then shin down, hips down. Legs wide, onto the backs of the hands. Sway shoulders side to side a little bit. And then flick the fingers. And come to lie on your back. Lift the feet up, cup the knees, and sway the knees side to side, massaging the low back into the floor. Okay, draw the knees in and up towards the chest. Take hold of the outside edges of the feet. Happy baby, side to side. Soles of the feet together, interlace the fingers, widen the knees out to either side of the room. Reclined bound angle pose or reclined butterfly. Widen through the inner thighs. Spine long along the earth. And now finally, give yourself a big hug. Draw your knees together. Wrap your arms around the fronts of your legs, taking hold of opposite wrist, forearms or elbows. Squeeze the legs in. And then tilt your chin to your chest, forehead towards or to the knees. Round your spine so less of the back body is on the floor. Squeeze in. Squeeze in, squeeze in. Get tight, small, dense. And then counter that. Extend the arms, extend the legs, expand the chest. Get soft. Get big. And we will transition to Savasana. So I like to do a very, I'm realizing that the more effort I put into setting up this pose, the more fully I feel like I have actually arrived in this pose to some degree. So in lieu of an inversion today, I'm going to take legs up the wall. So if you have some uninterrupted wall space where you can do this, bring your mat to the baseboard of that wall space. And if you have a firm pillow or a yoga blanket, you can place that, or even a bolster, you can place that at the base of the wall. Any other creature comforts you'd like to have around? Not the beer, just, the items like a blankie or a sock, maybe 2 socks even. And then scooch the hips to the wall, swing the legs up the wall, scooch the hips onto the blanket. Nestle your shoulders underneath your back. If you like the use of a strap around your ankles, make that happen. Just so you get a security of the legs staying together rather than falling down the sides of the wall. So set yourself up for support.
for a pose where you are going to feel that your body is supported. This is a safe space for rest and introspection. In approaching this pose, sometimes I like to think about going through the body and signaling this time for rest as I would go through a large building and turn off all the lights one by one. So you can think about that analogy as we bring awareness down into our feet, looking around within the feet, and then turning off that light as we move up the ankles, viewing any sensation, any tension in the ankles, and then turning off that light as we move through the corridors of the shins and calves, through the knees and the thighs, big ballrooms of the thighs. Now let's branch out to the fingers and the palms, resting those areas, proceeding to the wrists, up through the forearms, the elbows and upper arms. Resting the arms. Walking into the space of the pelvis, surveying that region for tension, activity. Turning off the light as we move up through the abdomen. Softening, resting the inner organs. Moving up the chest, the upper back. Leaving the light on at the hearth of the heart. Relaxing, resting the throat, the neck, the skull. Turning off any light of expression across the face. Residing in the light of the heart. Feeling that pulsing light, that beating energy reside throughout the body. begin to re-enliven the fingers and toes. Perhaps making circles with the wrists and the ankles in both directions. If you have legs up the wall, slide them down the wall. If you have legs bent or extended out in front of you, bend the feet to the floor. Roll onto the right side, supporting the left. Roll onto the left side, into a fetal position. Reconnect with breath as we transition from the corpse pose into this fetal position. Push your way back to a seated position. Once again, create an energetic connection or experience an energetic connection between your body and the earth. And from the earth, grow tall. Feel the air of the room across your skin. Again, experience that connection between within and without. Bring your hands together in front of your heart or onto your heart. We'll chant Om one single time to close the practice. Exhale your breath and inhale for Om. Thank you for your patience, your devotion to the practice, and your presence. The light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here live, and thank you for seeking out the recorded practice. There's an opportunity to donate to Brownstone Yoga if you'd like on my homepage. So if you search Brownstone Yoga, it will be the first thing that comes up, hopefully. And if you go onto my website, there's the donation link, and part of the proceeds will go to Revolution Therapy Plus Yoga, which is the yoga and therapy studio formerly known as Rubber Soul. Part of the proceeds will go there. For the month of August, additional proceeds will go to Fair Fight, Stacey Abrams. I want to call it a nonprofit, but I think it's a great cause, so check it out if you're interested. Also, there'll be some part of the proceeds that will go to just maintaining the stream, getting me the good gear to have good sound, good visuals, good internet. So please do that if you are so compelled. I'll be here next week, as far as I know, Monday at 10 a.m., Tuesday at 10 a.m., and Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So tune in to any of those classes live, or everything will be available on YouTube, and I also just have the audio of each week's class as a podcast. So that is also available. Spread the word. If you like this, share it. And there's also talk of doing a live outdoor class sometime in the next couple weeks. I'm thinking about, now I have a location. Somebody offered a location. I'm gonna scout it out, and I'll ask you all likely next week if you would like to join that class. It will be actually in Watkinsville. If you'd like to join that outdoor class in Watkinsville, get in touch with me and I will send you the address. I'll probably cap it off around 9 or 10. I haven't seen the space yet, but that's what I'm thinking. So please be in touch through, if you have my personal contact information, contact me there, or if not, you can reach me through athenspublic@gmail.com. So if you have questions, comments, things you'd like to do in class that I haven't been doing lately, let me know, and I will try to serve you in this class setting to the best of my ability. Okay.